Utah's best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth. Here we go. From the guys who have been there for all the biggest moments in Utah sports history. You're listening to DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our community. To nominate the Youth Sports Volunteer for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. DJ, PK, and Sam Farnsworth joining us from the Olympics. Sam, good morning or good evening where you are.
Yeah, it's late afternoon. Yeah, but we're doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing all right. Where in the world have you been? What's the most interesting thing you've done since we talked to you on Monday?
Oh man, let's see. Monday, was I already in Lavinia when we talked? I don't remember.
Yeah, and then you said you had taken the train up. You got up early in the morning, and then you said you were coming back down on Thursday, I think.
Yep. So that was pretty fun up there, though. I mean, it really felt a lot more like, what you would envision with Winter Olympics, right? It was in the mountains, a lot of snow, and some great moments too. I got to see Alex Hall get the silver medal in the slopestyle event, and then on Wednesday we got gold and silver. The United States did in the women's moguls event, and so that was really fun. But yeah, yesterday was the adventure because it started in the morning, early afternoon in Lavinia for the men's moguls event. Park City's Nick Page, unfortunately, he was in the final 8, but he missed the podium. And he was ranked 3rd in the world. We really thought he would be an Olympic or a medal contender, but he finished off the podium. But immediately after that, I basically grabbed all my gear and bags and got down to the bus, took those 2 buses back to the train station, took that 3-hour train ride back to Milan, got back to Milan, jumped on a bus, came to the arena just in time for the United States hockey game. So, but it was worth it. It was a lot of fun to be in Santa Giulia Ice Arena for that game as well.
You talk about all that travel that you have to do. Are you on your own figuring out your own itinerary, or they have it set up for you to be able to, hey, shuttles come at this time, train leaves at this time, and so forth?
Yes. Thankfully, when I first started planning that little trip out, it was kind of figuring out, okay, I was just kind of Googling back in the U.S. before I even came out here. I was trying to figure out, okay, what trains, what buses would get me there. But luckily they have for the media out here, they actually have a dedicated transportation app it's kind of like your maps, right? You plug in where you want to go from where you want to go, but it gives you the best transportation route, for the media. So, and a lot of it's public transportation, so you're still on there with other people, but with this app, I'm able to get, the tickets I need and things like that to get to where I need to go. So at least there's some guidance and help there. It makes it a little easier. It doesn't make the travel any easier, but it makes it a little easier figuring out where I need to go.
English is such a big part of the Olympics, so when you're in a venue, you've got English to lean on. But just the average person on the street, how much English do you hear? How easy is it if you need to talk to somebody? What's your and it's everybody's personal comfort level. I don't know what your comfort level is either.
Well, I don't know if surprise is the right word, but there's a fair amount of people here that speak decent enough English to get along, and where I just don't think about it. I can just ask someone something in English, and then if they don't speak English, they'll let me know. Now, I did study. I did use the Duolingo app for the last year studying Italian. So I got out of my comfort zone. Yesterday was finally the first day where I really, really tried to use what I've learned over the last year and have probably a fairly broken conversation. But I was talking with my cab driver about, sports here in Italy, and we started talking soccer and AC Milan and Inter Milan, and told him, we talked a little NBA and things like that, and I did my best Italian with it. It probably wasn't great, but it was fun to at least try.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, might as well, man. While you're there, pick it up as much as you can.
When in Rome, right? Or Milan, I guess.
Yeah, there you go. Have you been following the Bocock sisters? I mean, they're extremely local. I was just wondering if you had an opportunity to be around them.
I have not. Matt Gephardt and Mike Anderson have been up there following them, though, up there in Cortina. That's, again, with how spread out these Olympics are, that's one of the bummers about this Olympics. So spread out that even if I wanted to go and catch, one of those events, it's not even possible for me unless I spent, multiple days to do that. That's kind of what happened with Livigno, but I haven't totally followed along theirs. But Matt Gephardt talked to one of them and asked her,
Elizabeth.
Yeah, and asked her about who her inspiration and biggest supporter was, and she immediately said it was her sister. And it was just a really cool kind of media moment to hear her talk about that and just how excited she was to have her along supporting her.
This weekend, what are you looking forward to? What are you planning on? What are you thinking? What are you sorry you can't get to because it's so spread out and you just can't be in two places at once?
Well, I've kind of just hunkered down and decided, now it's hockey for me now. And here in Milan, it's either that, it's figure skating or speed skating. That's about it right around here. And Deanie Wimmer's got the speed skating on lock, and so I'm all hockey. And this weekend's going to be fun because the U.S. play a back-to-back on Saturday, Sunday. They play Denmark Saturday, so I'll be here for that. And then the Sunday game is the one that I'm really looking forward to because they take on Germany. And Germany's got some solid players, of course, Leon Draisaitl, but they've also got J.J. Peterka from the Mammoth on that German team. Last night he assisted on a goal, so he got his first Olympic point in a German national team sweater. Clayton Keller didn't play for the U.S., so I'm hopeful. He was a healthy scratch. I'm hopeful that with back-to-backs, Saturday, Sunday, that means there's a window there where someone's got to get rest and Clayton's got to come in and maybe he'll get a good, 20-minute run one of those nights on the ice. And so that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I thought today, as I continuing with the local hockey team here, I thought today there's the game that's going on right now is Czechia and France. Czechia is leading 2-0. I thought for sure Karel Vejmelka would start today because they started Dostal on their loss last night, so they're playing back-to-backs. They lost to Canada 5-0 last night, so I was like, okay, well, it makes sense. Karel Vejmelka is going to play tonight, but nope, they their other goalie, can't even remember his name, who's bounced around a little bit in the NHL. He started in net today, so I don't know what that means for Karel in his Olympic stay here, but I'll keep an eye on that as well. But yeah, this weekend it's going to be hockey, man. It's going to be a lot of fun, and the United States women's team too. Holy cow, they're outstanding. Tonight I'll be at that game, which is their quarterfinal game. They're already in the knockout phase of hockey, and they've been so good. And just from everyone, the reporters from around the world that are following hockey out here, they just talk about how dominant this USA women's team is and how they are the favorites to take the gold. So hopefully they get there. It's been fun to follow them so far.
Is that where you are right now? Are both those men and women, is that the events to follow? Is that where everyone is excited, what everyone is excited about?
I think so. I mean, so I'm at the larger of the two arenas, Santa Giulia Arena, with this Czechia game, and the arena, holy cow, it is packed with Czechia fans. They are passionate, and they showed up for their hockey team. It's quite an atmosphere. And last night when the United States played, they had a good following too, a good showing. But at first, there was a lot of chants of Latvia. And I think, to me, I felt like it was probably a combination of all the other fans kind of ganging up on the U.S., but the U.S. fans showed up pretty well too. The women, they play at another arena that's all the way across town, so I'll be heading over there in about an hour. But both of those arenas, when these games have been played, they have been packed. And so, obviously I'm more of a traditional sports fan. I still love the skiing and the speed skating and things like that. I get really excited for those. But to see the hockey games and the venues and arenas just totally packed, that's where, I kind of get my adrenaline flowing to cover those games and watch those games.
What is the weather like? And I bring that up because here I think people are imagining, what if this and every winter's different? So who knows? But if this were the year that we were hosting here, there is no snow in the city. Nobody's shoveling in the city all year long. There is snow in the mountains. We got a little bit up there yesterday, and we just had David Locke on, and he's skiing. So it would be possible at this point. But the way you just described the events, it sounds like the indoor arena events, speed skating, figure skating, hockey, can be in the city, and then all the other stuff has to be moved to these other venues that are far flung, so you can't cover multiple things in the same day. Is that really the layout? And is there snow in the city?
Yeah, no, that's 100% the layout. And there's not even really mountains close to Milan that I can tell. And there's no snow. It's very similar. It felt like I left Salt Lake and landed in Salt Lake. So very similar weather-wise. It may be a little colder, but today's like 60 degrees, pushing 60 degrees. And I just came back, like I said, from being up in the mountains of Livigno, where that's, it was over 6,000 feet above sea level. It felt like a mountain area where it's 32 degrees for the high, the low got into the teens. It snowed up there when I was up there a couple of days. So I came to the arena today. I had my layers on that I've been used to wearing the last 4 days, and I'm just breaking a sweat thinking, man, what am I doing wearing these extra layers today? It's very pleasant. It's very mild in Milan so far. But like you said, the indoor events, the skating events, those don't really matter when it comes to weather. But the mountain events need it, and they have plenty of it out here. So hopefully in 8 years, Salt Lake City and Utah has a much better winter than what we're having this year.
What were the crowds like when you were up there covering those events?
Very good. I was impressed. And I think, that town that I was at is very close. It's almost right on the border of Switzerland. So a lot of those, alpine areas, they showed up. Their fans showed up for those events. But at the same time, I kind of would look around and see where the especially at the Moguls yesterday, the last 2 days, it was very full for where they allow the fans to come in. It was very full, and I started to remember back in 2002 when I was in college at the time when the Olympics were here, and I was just like, you know what? I just want to get to an event somehow, some way. And my dad got tickets. We went to ski jumping, and I have no interest in ski jumping, but I showed up, and you know what? We got there in Park City, and there was probably, 15 to 20,000 people packed in down there, and they had a grandstand plus a standing room only area, and it was packed. And I think it's just because people want to experience an Olympic moment that they may never get to experience again in their lives. And I think up in Livigno it was very similar, where every one of those ski events was just packed with fans, whether they're an avid fan or just someone who wanted to be a part of the Olympic moment. So, but yeah, it's been very well received and well supported.
When Lindsey Vonn fell and was injured here, it was a big deal. But you never know how that plays in another country. Now, she's enough of a skiing legend. Maybe it was a big deal. Is that the kind of thing everybody's talking about in the Olympics when it happens? Or it's spread out and there's so much going on that it was more of a ripple and it was bigger news here for people sitting watching on TV coming out of the Super Bowl?
No, it was definitely less of a ripple and more of a big splash out here. I mean, she's definitely very well known and recognized and followed out here because, this is where Europe is where most of the World Cup season takes place for skiers, right? And so everyone knows Lindsey Vonn. She's a legend in her sport. And when that happened, it was like, I was watching it live when it happened, and the broadcast was just dead silent. And then you kind of look around in the room you're in and just everywhere else, like everyone was watching and everyone was just dead silent. They're like, oh my gosh, did that just happen? And so, and obviously in the days that followed, the day or two that followed, it was so many people talk about it. When I would tell people here that I was here to cover the Olympics, one of the first things they'd say is, "Oh, Lindsey Vonn." And I'm like, "Yes, but I'm not covering her. I'm not up there. I'm down here." But yeah, they knew exactly. You're from the United States, then you must be covering Lindsey Vonn. So she was a huge story out here, and she still is. Right? It's unfortunate that's the way her Olympic career ends, but that just goes to show how much of a legend she is in her sport and how well she's known internationally.
And there you are, thousands of miles away in another country, a far-flung area from Salt Lake City in the state of Utah, and yet you still, even though you're eyeball deep in Olympic coverage, have had time to express your outrage on the NBA finding the Jazz.
100%, PK. Holy cow. It's funny because, obviously I'm trying to be dedicated to posting a lot of social media stuff from the Olympics here, but every time I jump on, whether it's my Instagram, my Twitter, especially, Facebook, anywhere I jump on, there's something popping up about the Jazz and the fine by the NBA, and it feels so, maybe I let my inner Jazz fan from growing up as a kid watching those teams in the 90s come out a little bit too much in some of my tweets, but it just feels so kind of, two-faced by the way the NBA and the way the national media have covered that situation. I just don't see any other way that how is a small market team, how is a team that's trying, they want to compete, they want to win. I mean, we know this, obviously. You guys were covering the Jazz in the finals, how passionate the fan base was for their 20-plus year playoff run. And for, when Donovan and Rudy had that team getting the number one seed, how excited and passionate the fan base is. Just go look in the arena, how many fans still show up on a nightly basis. This is a franchise and a fan base that wants to win. They don't want to be bad. They're trying to figure out a way to get out. They're trying to figure out a way to win, to be competitive. And the only way the NBA sets it up is really, if you want to, like a small market team, they're not going to go land the giant free agents. So you have to be able to get great talent in the NBA draft and then try to hold on to them over the years. And the Jazz are just trying their best. Last year, they got the short end of the stick. They were right in a great spot to get a top pick. And luckily, it looks like it's probably going to work out with the pick they got last year. But again, they're just trying to get a situation where they can grow their own talent from within. And the NBA says, nope, you can't do it that way. We're going to fine you $500,000. And it's not like, to me, and maybe I'm missing a rule. You guys have probably talked about this a lot on your show already. Maybe I'm missing a rule here, but it's not, I don't think they're breaking rules, right? They just have pulled players from the fourth quarter, and the NBA says, oh, that's a bad look. We don't like that, so we're going to fine you. And it's just, I don't know. Thanks for letting me vent a little. I need to get it off my chest because no one out here would understand. But man, it's like, I just can't. I can't. It's like, how else are they supposed to do it? So.
We're with you.
I get all of that, and so do all the fans, but they were tanking. They got fined for it. The inconsistency bothering a lot of people. I mean, that's what it comes down to. But as PK 100%. Says, life isn't fair. They're never going to treat the Lakers and Knicks, the way they treat the Jazz and the Pacers. Now, maybe they could treat the Kings and the Wizards that way. I mean, would that be too much to ask? Apparently, right now it is.
No, they suck forever. Well, that's what we expect out of them.
And I think there's something to that. Honestly, as David Locke said, well, he's got a press conference. He had to do damage control because he wanted to go to the All-Star Game press conference and said he's done nothing. All right, we could talk to you all day. You could vent all day, but you got to get off to Olympic events today and every day. Do you have a day off built in here, or are you going to talk? We'll talk to you on Monday. You're working every day until then, right? The day off is.
I'll talk to you on Monday for sure. I did finally build in a day off. I'm gonna. You guys got a holiday.
Oh, yeah.
You're right.
Tuesday. We'll talk to you Tuesday.
Tuesday sounds great. Yeah, I mean, I did finally build in a day off tomorrow, Saturday. So even though I'm off, I'm still going to be at that USA-Denmark hockey game. But at least I don't have to turn the content around right away. They're trying to give me a day of rest. So,
well, if Clayton Keller plays, you got to be there. So there you go.
100%.
Right. Yeah, back-to-back. They got to play him in one of those games, right? I mean, I get he's not the star on the roster, but they're going to play him at some point.
Got to.
Yep. All right. Thank you very much, Sam. We appreciate it. Enjoy your semi-day off.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Sam Farnsworth in Italy covering the Olympics, and you'll see him on KSL, except not on Saturday. All right, DJ and PK, we're taking a break. When we come back, everything you missed in this show, we'll get to all the headlines. Former Ute got a job. We didn't mention that. We have it. We should get up to speed on that. And a lot of NBA talk. We'll get to that next. Stay with us.
For all of you less motivated listeners, it's time for your 9 o'clock. Where the heck have you been headlines?
Where you at?
With DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Slacker Radio headlines are brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. What have we talked about today? Well, very briefly, we talked about the Jazz losing to the Blazers. And the Blazers sat out 2 of their top 3 rebounders, their leading scorer. It's not like that was really their team. The Jazz were sitting out all 3 of their 7-footers, no Nurkic, no Markkanen, no Jackson. So, I don't know. I don't really think there's much of a point talking about that game, PK. Were there maybe a couple points you see something in there that mattered to you? Because it was all about development and young guys, because this was a mishmash is what I'm trying to say, of players.
Well, Ace Bailey throwing it off the backboard to himself and slamming it down. That was fun to watch. I mean, this guy just reeks of athleticism. I could make an argument right now at age 19, he's the most athletic player the Jazz have ever had. So
who's top 3? Him, Kirilenko,
Ostertag.
I would go Kirilenko, I think. I think it's he and Kirilenko right there, 1-2. And Kirilenko started to develop and then fizzled out. If Ace Bailey's on the if Ace Bailey can just continue to improve, he's the guy by a mile. Who am I leaving out?
We all think he will.
Somebody else. Yeah.
I don't think there's any question that he won't continue to improve. I mean, I can't think of any reason that would get in the way of what is to come. I mean, really, I try to temper expectation, and I'm not sure what level of good player will he be. Will he actually elevate his game to great?
Right.
Maybe that's the possibility. We'll have these 19 years old, man, 19 years old, wide-eyed.
There's so far to go, right?
Yeah. I mean, he looks 15. That face of his, that baby face, is actually cute to see his exuberance out there. So all those things that seem to be an issue when he was drafted don't seem to be. That ESPN pumped up for 2 or 3 days, as you have to look for stories, man, because you have to get on the air and you have to say something. And in order to keep your job, you have to attract the listeners. I mean, I can't believe the number of people in media who say bombastic things just for the sake of keeping their job. That is appalling to me.
Nice. Well played. Well played. I think we all got it. Yeah, that was a storyline that his agent constructed, trying to get him to Washington, and I think he should be super excited he didn't end up in Washington, and super excited that he's parted ways from the agent, because watching him, that doesn't look like any of that was even remotely accurate to how he carries himself day in and day out. He's like the polar opposite of all of that, whatever that was built up.
And then I think the second story, obviously the number one story, is the fine and all the fallout.
Yep.
And then I think within that, the top story within that fine and fallout is Ryan Smith going after Marks a couple of times, or one time actually was going after, well, we won the game, we'll agree to disagree. And then going after Marks about how he should sit this one out.
Yeah, that
was pointed that you don't normally see from an owner. Not that I have any problem with it whatsoever. You got something to say, and because the Jazz have been dumped on, it seems like, for 2 weeks. Even though it's only been a week, it seems like it's been 2. And so somebody's got to push back at a national level. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have been pushing back, but we're local guys, and we think it's outrageous, the whole concept of it. But why not stand up for yourself? So I've got no problem with him doing that and going after somebody who questioned your integrity. I mean, that is like obviously questioning your character. You can say, I've always said, for me in my business, I've had a lot of bosses who never really appreciated what I did. And because I'm not the greatest writer, I'm not the greatest this or that, but I always took offense if you ever question my work ethic, because you're not only insulting me, you're insulting my father, who I saw on the back of a garbage truck when I was 15 years old to try to make money for his family. And I have a legacy, and I owe it to my father to be able to carry it, because I literally bear his name. So when you're insulting me on that, you're insulting him, and I will not have that. And so when you start to question someone's integrity, that's pretty low.
The points that we've been made, to recap it for those of you just joining the show, is that the Jazz have prioritized player development. Young guys who are going to have to grow into some kind of role, whether that's the 10th, 8th, or 5th best player on the team, whatever it is next year when they're trying to get to the playoffs and trying to win 50 games. To give those guys experience and to play those guys now is the obvious positive. Right. Are they tanking games? No one would debate that. They're tanking for 4 years. If they're going to find somebody, why aren't they finding everybody? And how much of this is Oklahoma City's behind it? They're complaining about the Jazz, specifically at the league office, because they want that draft pick, and they know what the Jazz are doing. And they want that pick because this draft is really deep. And even at 9 and 10, Oklahoma City has a fair amount of confidence that they'll get a pretty good player, which is not outrageous.
If I were the Jazz and the situation were reversed, I'd want the Jazz to do it too.
Yeah.
I saw somebody put out on Twitter that Marks in like 2019 put out a tweet that said, let's stop with calling it tanking. If it's tanking at the expense of playing young players to see how they can develop, let's call it player development. So that's kind of funny. 7 years ago, he was fine with it. But
he was on the other side.
What the Jazz are doing.
Yeah. Well, those inconsistencies, the fact, and I think to your point that by being willing to wade in there, Ryan Smith's quote on social media, I'm looking at ESPN did a story off their news services, AP, and they pull quotes from here and there or whatever and put something up there. And midway through the story, they're quoting Ryan Smith on social media, agree to disagree. Also, we won the game in Miami and got fined. That makes sense. So, he does get his spin on the story. The thing I found interesting in the story, PK, and because they didn't give it to a beat writer, who knows if it was written someone a lot of experience, Utah prioritizing player development, the front office motivated to hold on to the pick because it's top 8 predicted. Falling outside the bottom 8 means Utah loses to Oklahoma City. All of that is literally in the last paragraph of the story. Burying the lead? I guess the lead is $500,000, but right after that, here's the crux of the issue. Oklahoma City wants the pick. The Jazz want the pick. Yeah. The Jazz have young players to develop who are obviously going to be in the rotation next year. So they can say, hey, we're not tanking. That is at the heart of the story.
I think the heart of the issue here for the Jazz is their first responsibility to themselves, or is it to the league?
Oh, awesome. You'd like to say it's to the league because they all rise and fall together in these TV contract negotiations, but resting players, game management, and tanking, we all trace it back to San Antonio, whether it was tanking to get Duncan or game management, especially with Ginobili, but with Parker and Kawhi Leonard and Duncan at times. They were at the forefront of this. And that was about themselves. And you got to give it to Popovich. He was right. Hey, I'm going to protect my games. January, February, March doesn't matter. April, May, June does. I'm going to keep them fresher. I'm going to keep them healthy because I want championships. Nobody's going to remember if we win 53, 58, or 63 games, but they're going to remember we have 5 championships, and we all do.
So what you're saying is what Jazz have did that San Antonio have not did.
Thank you, Carl. Yes. Yes,
right.
I guess I am saying that. And that comes to the bigger issue. Okay, the commissioner's got a press conference Saturday. Locke pointed this out. Listen to his interview wherever you get your podcast. He can't go into that and say, I haven't done anything. That's crazy. It's been a talk for a week. So now you can say he did something, even if it's a total Band-Aid, total window dressing on a 40-year program. Because as much as I just dumped on San Antonio, Houston was dumping 40 years ago to get Olajuwon and Sampson in back-to-back years, and that's why the lottery was created, and the Knicks got Ewing the first year. So we can flatten out the odds.
Don Nelson used to hack a shack, send him to the line, and then they created a rule like with under 2 minutes. So everybody's always trying to find ways to benefit yourself within the framework of the rules. And then once discovered, okay, well, that's kind of a smart thing to do. It sucks, but it's a smart thing to do. Well, then we'll fix that a little bit. They need to get in an NBA think tank and get in a room, cater out some meals, and nobody gets out of that room until there's it's not a good, but a great solution. Because I believe something could be done. And I'm not sitting over here saying I have answers, because I'm not saying that whatsoever. There's very few answers in life that I have, by the way. And so I am willing to allow them, but I know it can be done. And I have moved past right now. And I see losing is the byproduct of player development. They are in full player development mode. And you can say that it is tanking, but that's the byproduct because all tanking is not equal. The Jazz have so many youngsters that they have to play them, and the time is now. I don't know what the situation is with Washington. I haven't seen Washington play once this year, nor do I intend to, I guess, when they play the Jazz, right?
Those
and
two are
so
coming up.
I don't know what their draft picks are, and I don't give a crap what they are. But I know who the draft picks are for the Jazz because it's my job to know, and I know that these guys all have, Locke talking about all their weaknesses. Fine, they all got weaknesses. There's like 6 players in the history of the game that don't have weaknesses. I want to see what their weaknesses are, yes, but also their positives, because I'm not probably asking any of them to be stars. Was Howard Isley a star? No, but he filled a role behind Stockton when they were going into the finals. And I'm sure Howard Isley had plenty of weaknesses, but let's accentuate the positive. Shandon Anderson didn't have a lot of positives, but he's a big guard, put him on the low post and against the second unit and have opportunities to be effective. And Jerry Sloan did that as well as anybody in the history of the game who ever took guys that were average and used and accentuated their positives. And Will Hardy could probably do the same when given the opportunity. And that's what we'll see next year. So if that means they lose games this year, so be it, because it is about player development to help them win next year.
Okay.
And in the succeeding years.
Is there a class on player development at Thunderbird High? Because if there isn't, then you just unknowingly quoted one of Pablo's, I don't want to say it was a rant, but it was a definitive statement. When you say player development, be ready to lose. Now, of course, he said that because he's a coach and he knows he's held accountable for winning. And he's sitting in a meeting and he's doing player development like, that could end up being bad for me as everybody looks out for themselves. But he's right. And it's true across every sport. And as a matter of fact, it's true across college. It's why if you have great talent, college football and basketball teams will take you as a freshman. If you have great talent. But otherwise, they're going for somebody with 3 or 4 years of experience. They've been developed. Let them go lose games for somebody else. I'll take them when they're ready to win games. Unless you have awesome talent and you can just walk in and, puff out your chest and get the job done.
And that's what the Jazz decided to do 4 years ago, and they'll get out of it. From like 1987, say 80, maybe even 86 to what? 1997, the Jazz weren't about 1998, 1999. They weren't about player development. They were about winning. And that's why they tried to go out and get veterans and win. I don't even remember any of their draft picks at that point. Certainly didn't seem like they had that many that actually stayed and stuck with the team. And they were about that. And this team, this franchise will get to that point, and they'll get to that point sooner rather than later. And if that's not good enough for you, Adam Silver and whomever else is in the office there, too bad.
DJ PK, your feedback when we come back. Stay with us.
And now, enough of us. It's time to hear from you. From all your texts, tweets, and posts. This is the best feedback of the day.
Ooh, I was there. It's the best game of my life.
With DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, time for your feedback. All these reports, NBA fines, Jazz $500,000, fourth quarter benchings. This is your chance to vent. Rob says, and we get a lot of Jazz fans responding to this, but Rob says, I'm not a Jazz fan, and I think the fine is indefensible. Tanking's been an issue for years. Some teams don't even try to hide it. If you're trying to crack down and work on a solution, I understand $50,000 and a statement about the damage of tanking. $500K is ridiculous. Yeah, 50 and $500,000 sound like big numbers to all of us, but the people who run the NBA, they blow through that. I don't think $500,000 is going to deter anybody next year, the year after, or the year after that. And I don't think it'll be the Jazz. I think they'll be winning, and there are just fundamental things about the game that we have to change. JBC says, how about some consistency? We've all seen all the other teams do it, and very few fines or punishment. This is all Oklahoma City's Sam Presti's doing, and spineless Adam Silver's like, yes, boss. Okay, boss. So there you go.
And if the Jazz were in the same situation, I would hope it would be Austin Ainge's doing.
and we would have people like, how can OKC do this?
Because they had that. I remember Kevin O'Connor. We had him on the show. He used to come on the show a lot. Miss him a lot, actually, being around him. A fun guy. And he said that I think they had to wait. They had the Laker or the Knick pick for a couple years or something.
Yeah.
He said he was driving himself crazy rooting against the Knicks. He finally said, enough with that. This is affecting my life. I'm done with that.
He did. I remember him saying that. You're spot on.
Yeah.
Jay says, yeah, I'm all with this. And by the way, I think we should be forced to vacate those 2 wins. Turn them into losses. Applause, winking, laughing, crying emoji.
No, it would be the other way around. It actually turn them into wins to penalize them, huh?
Turn Orlando into a win if you're going to penalize them, yeah. But that's always the thing. You know, he's here. The coach has to forfeit off his record, or a team has to take a banner down. Take those 2 wins away. Drop the Jazz further behind the Mavericks. Get them back there with the Wizards.
I prefer to take my breath away.
Sing it.
Top Gun.
Big 12 runner-up champs. You can't actually use a game the Jazz won at Miami as a reference for tanking. Adam Silver has to go. He's lost the league and the fans. Well, Adam Silver is signed through the end of the decade, so I don't think Adam Silver's going anywhere right away. And he helped land those enormous TV deals, 3 enormous TV deals. Honestly, those TV deals, and it still won't happen because everybody wants every last dollar, but that was the best time if they were going to shorten the season. You lose a little bit in-house, but that's not where they're making the money. The national TV check you get before you ever sell a ticket, that's what's driving the bus. If there was ever a time to take away 10, 12, 16 games, whatever, that was it. But they're not doing it because they want every last dollar, and they're still making bucks off those games. So, not
as
happening.
long as you don't get Larry Scott in there as the commissioner, I'm okay.
Larry Scott catches a stray. Nice, PK. Although you're not wrong. Yeah. Corey, new tanking strategy. Get your key guys to play really aggressive defense, get in foul trouble, and foul out. What can they say? Hey, maybe just flip the ball at the ref and get yourself kicked out.
That was quick. I think that was like, son, you don't have enough credibility in this league to do that.
You don't get to do that to me. I'm Scott Foster. Back off.
Scott Foster.
Yeah.
A legend.
He really is. Just
ask
him.
Is he the new Dick Bavetta?
No, there's another guy whose name I'm blanking on now.
Joey Crawford?
Yes, Joey Crawford. Yeah, he's the new Joey Crawford. Yeah. Yeah, Crawford's the one who teed up Tim Duncan once for looking at him. Mom, he's looking at me. That was awesome. Duncan was on the bench. He made a face. Duncan didn't say anything. He got a tee.
I got tossed out of a Daily Breeze softball game for making a face.
You did? Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give us the face now for the people watching.
Well, it was just like, it was like sarcasm.
Yeah. It said you're an idiot. That's what it said.
And he ran me, and my guys, the other 8 guys that were on the field, because I was on the field, the other 8 guys, literally every one of them fell to the ground laughing.
Because they knew you. Even if they're way on the outfield, they can't see it. They still know what happened.
Yes, and when you got thrown out, you got suspended for the next game, which would have been the following week.
Yep.
But they called me and explained he just got a little upset, and so we're not going to suspend you. So they rescinded the suspension, and I said, okay. And then I had the indignity of we had a bunch of guys that we'd have to go back to the work and put out the paper the next day. And so the guys that were in the office, they knew we'd be back about 9:00. I show up at 8:00 and I had to tell them what happened, and they all fell to the ground laughing.
We're out of time. Enjoy the long weekend. We're back Tuesday. Ben's up next right here on The Zone.